Look no farther than some of Trump's nominees who've been considered by the Judiciary Committee. After President Trump fired his first FBI director, he nominated Kash Patel. Mr. President,
the Democratic whip.
I want to thank the ranking member of the Rules Committee for organizing this floor block of speeches. He's been a valued partner of mine on the Senate Judiciary Committee for several years and has taken on this ranking member position on the Rules Committee seriously. Leader Thune has set in motion a rules change that is going to fundamentally undermine the ability of the Senate to fulfill its constitutional responsibility of advise and consent. I hope my Republican friends, and I use that term specifically, I hope my friends will pause for a moment and think of a way that we might solve this problem and do it in a bipartisan fashion. Before the recess, Senate Democrats worked in good faith with Senate Republicans to negotiate a package of nominations to break the deadlock and move these nominations through the chamber in an expedited, professional, bipartisan fashion. At the very last minute, however, President Trump blew up the negotiations. Rather than stand up to him, Senate Republicans are now willing to give away the Senate's authority when it comes to advise and consent. Senate Republicans claim they are violating Senate rules just for this set of nominees, but I'm afraid this is going to open the door to rushing through more extreme nominations whose only qualification seems to be loyalty to the chief. Look no farther than some of Trump's nominees who've been considered by the Judiciary Committee. After President Trump fired his first FBI director, he nominated Kash Patel. As a private citizen, Mr. Patel directed the purge of honorable career public servants at the FBI and then lied about it under oath at his confirmation hearing. Mr. Patel auditioned for the FBI job by trying to whitewash January 6th, calling the rioters who stormed the Capitol, harassing and beating on the local police, quote, political prisoners, close quote. The head of the FBI, Mr. Patel, produced a choir of singers, including those who were prosecuted for wrongdoing on that day and some who violently assaulted police officers. This was considered to be cute, I guess, by some of Mr. Patel's followers. But the very same men and women who beat on the police, the Capitol Police and DC Police, who were protecting this building, were somehow supposed to be entertaining as a choir, only in the eyes of someone like Mr. Patel. I warned my colleagues that confirming Mr. Patel would risk our national security and public safety. The head of the FBI used to be as apolitical a position as possible for a long tenure to take it out of politics. Mr. Patel had us dive headfirst into politics where we stand today. Instead, my colleague gave a green light to use the FBI's vast surveillance and investigative power to go after President Trump's critics. That's exactly what happened. Is this the kind of nomination that should be debated on the floor of the United States Senate? I don't doubt for a moment that it should. It is a powerful position and one that can be misused. Or what about Aaron Reitz, nominated to be Assistant Attorney General for the Office of Legal Policy? At his confirmation hearing, I asked Mr. Reitz a very simple question. Can an elected official defy a federal court order? Mr. Reitz refused to commit that an elected official must follow a court order. He also holds extreme views, including that the Supreme Court opinion upholding marriage equality was a, quote, low point in the history of the Supreme Court, and that, quote, birthright citizenship is not a thing, despite what the Constitution says explicitly. Senate Republicans dutifully confirmed Mr. Reitz, no questions asked, but he resigned after 3 months on the job to run for Attorney General of Texas. Senate Republicans also confirmed Jeanine Pirro as U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. Ms. Pirro is a talented person. She's been an elected official. She's done many interesting things. But she is another nominee who auditioned for the role in the administration by declaring her blind loyalty to the president on TV for over a decade. Ms. Pirro's repeated lies to millions of viewers on Fox about the 2020 election forced Fox News to pay nearly $800 million to settle defamation claims brought by Dominion voting systems. Like Mr. Patel, Ms. Pirro has claimed January 6 rioters were, quote, hostages. The people who assaulted the Capitol, marched on it, broke down the doors, defecated in the hallways, beat up the police, the Capitol Police and the DC Police, and ransacked our desks here on the floor of the Senate. In the eyes of Ms. Pirro, were hostages. And she argued that the prosecutors handling these cases themselves should be criminally prosecuted. Like Mr. Wrights, Ms. Pirro reads the Constitution through a MAGA lens, wrongfully arguing that the administration can deport immigrants without due process. Mr. President, I've been in this chamber for a number of years. It's been my honor and responsibility to vote on many nominees as part of the advise and consent section of the Constitution. Let me give you some facts about filling vacancies. As chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, we filled the vacancy, before I was chairman of the committee, we filled the vacancies for U.S. attorneys in President Donald Trump's first term. All 93 spots were filled without a single record vote. All were done by unanimous consent, all of them. Then what happened under the Biden administration? Unfortunately, something that we're still living with today and we see manifest in this procedural action. There was a decision made by one senator, Senator Vance of Ohio, now our vice president, to stop the nominations on the floor for Biden's U.S. attorneys by voice vote. He stood up and objected. He said, and quite plainly said, I want to do this to grind the Department of Justice to a halt. Grind the Department of Justice to a halt. He didn't deny that. I came to the floor on many occasions pleading with him to stop his effort to stop these nominations. In fact, I came to the floor 8 different occasions asking Senator Vance and then Republican senators, could you give us the same courtesy under President Biden we gave you under President Trump? And the answer was no. We're stopping any appointments of U.S. attorneys by the Biden administration at 63. So another 30 U.S. attorneys were not determined on the floor. It was stopped, the process was stopped. I said at the time, this is going to come back to affect this chamber under the next president, whoever it might be. Pleading with Senator Vance, he wouldn't change his position on this. So we find ourselves where we are today, a standoff when it comes to U.S. attorneys and other nominees because of this history. There is a way out of this mess. There's a bipartisan solution to this. I plead with Senator Langford of Oklahoma, who is involved in this, and with the other Republican senators, take advantage of that opportunity to solve this problem when it comes to nominations in a bipartisan way. It's the best thing you can do, not just for the Republican Party, but for the Democratic Party and for both parties to serve in the United States Senate. We have a right and a responsibility to ask hard questions of people who are accepting major responsibility in the federal government. There should never be an automatic approval